Hello, this is Noah Figueroa with Paragon Bridgeworks, and in this video, I want to talk about elevation. So, whenever we're especially when we're doing engineering, and you're wanting us to engineer the bridge, we need to know where do you want your bridge at, and who's responsible for picking that elevation. Usually, whenever we're doing elevation or doing engineering, we really prefer to work with a soils engineer or a hydraulic engineer or somebody who knows your site better than we do. We know the bridge is inside and out, but we don't really know your particular site unless you give us the data. And even after you give us a survey will give us a cross dimension. A surveyor will go out there for a couple $1,000 and they'll measure everything, but that still doesn't that tells us what the site looks like, but that doesn't give us the controlling factors. Usually, a civil engineer, a soils engineer, or a hydraulic engineer will know where to place a bridge at, depending on your specific requirements. A few choices that we have here, these are choices that you as the owner get to decide, or you hire people to decide this for you. Okay, so first choice is when it comes to the elevation of the bridge. When I mean elevation, I mean like height. Where is the bridge going to go in relation to the abutments? Okay, so first choice we have is to put let's talk about nomenclature. That way we're talking about the same terms over here. Okay, so the top of this bridge where you actually drive on, that's called a driving surface. Okay, that's a driving surface. This is your existing grade. Okay, this is what this site looks like right now, just the dirt, the way it sits. Underneath we have, this is the bearing point of the bridge. Now on the 90 footers, you can see how it tapers down and down to the lowest point of the bridge. On certain bridge decks, the lowest point of the bridge and the bearing point of the bridge are in the same orientation, or the same elevation. Okay, so they're one and the same. Like if we were to take this 90-foot long rail car and cut it right here, and now we're just using this deep section as the bridge. Some bridges are the same height all the way through. This particular one is not. Okay, so we have the bearing point and the lowest point of the bridge. So your first choice is, do we want the bearing point of bridge at the top of existing grade? Okay, then that's what we have right here. This is the bearing point of bridge on top of existing grade. And then if you were going to use, sometimes we do just put these directly on gravel or dirt. This is the way it would look. The more appropriate way to do it would be to build an abutment, and your top of abutment would be flush with the top of existing grade. Okay, that's one choice. Now, whenever we do this, we do this big giant step here. This is this particular car or bridge deck is 14 inches tall, so you have to build a ramp up to that, which may be possible for your site. It may not be possible on other sites. I know there's a lot of different choices out there and variables. The other choice we have is if we just take this bridge. Let's say you wanted the driving surface flush with the existing grade. Okay, that's one way to do it right there. Now your abutment would be way below. You'd have to dig out your abutments. I'm typically not a big fan of digging out abutments. It just creates a lot of problems elsewhere. But that's one way to do it. You dig out your abutments just for this bridge to set inside. You dig out your banks for the bridge to set inside. And then your abutments would go even lower than that. They would go way down over here. But the benefit of that is it provides for a nice, smooth driving surface from existing grade all the way over. Now, typically, if you're going to do this, we would actually raise the bridge up just a few inches, maybe like 4 inches, so that way you can put gravel on the roadway over here, and then you have a smooth transition. So you have 4 inches of gravel over here, then the bridge would make a nice, smooth surface all the way across. Okay. Now, the problem with this is that oftentimes the government jurisdiction that's controlling this waterway, when we're getting a permit, you can see that there's another term we need to talk about. It's called freeboard. Freeboard is the amount of space between the bottommost part of the bridge and the bottom of the waterway. Sometimes they measure freeboard from the bottom of the bridge, the lowest part of the bridge, and the top of the waterway. That's the amount of freeboard space you have underneath the bridge. Generally, most government agencies, they want the lowest part of the point of the bridge. They want that out of the waterway completely. They want it way up over here. Okay, so the lowest point of the bridge is at the top of banks. Okay, it looked like this. You can see that now it's the bottommost part of the bridge is not lower, it's right at. Now we may have to put it an inch or two above that, but usually where if we shoot for matching it up, that appeases your county or city requirements. That's that's beyond our scope. Keep that in mind. That's completely beyond our scope. But I just want to let you know what we're talking about here when we're talking about elevation. So if we were to do this, you can see that we would need to build an abutment much higher. So our abutment would need to go, from way up here and then go all the way down deeper. Okay. Now the abutment styles, there's a lot of different abutment styles. We're just talking about elevation here. Okay. So your choices are the bottommost part, lowest point of the bridge, out of the waterway or at your banks. We can do the driving surface. We can do the driving surface at flush with existing grade. Okay. Or we can put the top of bridge. I'm sorry, the bottom of the bearing point of the bridge, that's 14 inches. Or we can put the bearing point of bridge on grade. Okay. So do you want the driving surface flush with grade? Do you want the bearing point flush with grade? Do you want the lowest point of the bridge flush with grade, or something else? Okay, those are kind of a few different ways we can play with that elevation a little bit, but it's all controlled by your government agency and what they require or what you feel comfortable with. Okay, one concern is going to be the flow of water. We don't want to obstruct that flow of water coming through there. And it may not be full right now, but in a 100-year flood event, it may become full. We may want to raise that bridge up a little bit. But that's that's up to you. It's up to your soils engineer. But when you fill out our questionnaire about where you want your bridge elevation to be, at least you know what we're talking about and what we're looking at. Okay? I hope that helps. Thanks.